The force behind one of the biggest and most well-known reggae festivals in the world at its time, Reggae Sunsplash, working with some of the greats such as Bob Marley, Jimmy Cliff and Peter Tosh. Ronald Burke is my guest today. We are talking about challenges, opportunities and staying motivated. I'm Archibald Gordon. This Ronald Burke, welcome to Profile.
Thank you.
So Reggae Sunsplash was arguably the way that made your name, the thing that made your name and your career. But you started out, as you told me earlier in our pre-interview, in insurance. How did that come about?
Well, I tell you, my dad and my brother are attorneys, and I didn't want to go in that direction. For me, I needed something a little more exciting. And so, actually, I was recruited into the Bank of Jamaica. I was one of the first in 1961, one of the original staff members of the Bank of Jamaica. And I spent about 4 years there.
It was a filing clerk job.
Yes. And then I left the Bank of Jamaica and I went to join Adolph Levy, which is owned by the Johnson family, Mike and Charles, with whom I went to Jamaica College, and we had a friendship going. So I spent a couple of years there. And then a friend had suggested that I go and do an interview for North American Life. Because I guess they thought I had the kind of personality and the big yawning smile that you need to be an insurance man. And so I went to North American Life. I spent nearly 9 years there. Actually, it was quite successful, but, you know, it didn't have the wham because my first love was music.
Where does this love come from?
I don't know. Perhaps my mother's family, one of my uncles was a professional organist, played at the church. Another one was a professional drummer. Another one played the clarinet, and my mother played the piano. Now, I don't know if that filtered through to me, but I just had this love of music. And I remember there was one radio in our house, and I would wait till my dad fell asleep and sneak in and pull it out so I could plug in and listen to WANC in Miami and listen to. I just had this, and still have, to this minute. I just love to have music around me, you know? And so Mike Johnson, with whom I was now working at Adolph Levy, also had this drive to produce music. And he suggested that we get together and form a company which combined our names, Mike and Ron, we call it Micron Music Limited, and on Retirement Road. And we set out not knowing a thing about the music business. We went in with a love of music and no knowledge whatever of what the music business required. But we set up shop and we attracted a few artists because we offered a royalty that was more than twice what was being offered by the big boys. And that came about because when we did the math, we realized that, boy, these artists are getting a kind of a raw deal. I mean, you're talking about 7 cents per 45, and we went to 25, and we attracted a number of artists at that rate. And we also decided, we met Eric Gale, the jazz guitarist, who was in Jamaica because of reggae. He was so attracted to reggae, that he had to come here and he lived there for 2 or 3 years. And we enticed him to join us in the production of a, what is it now I guess you would call a reggae jazz album named Negril, which I think is still around. And then I had a friend named Pete Weston, who was much more experienced in the music business than we were. And he saw our efforts and he said, look, there are things I can do for you that you can't do for yourself, because I know the major artists. And he introduced me to Bob Marley. And Bob was doing his Natty Dread album at the time. And we wanted to distribute this Natty Dread album. And because of Pete's association with Bob, they said, okay, let's give them a shot and see what, you know?
It was a huge deal at the time. Bob Marley was making his name.
At the time. And that we sold over 25,000 copies of that album, which I think must have been a record, because I think Byron Lee had peaked at like 7,000 or 8,000 with all of his albums. But we really went into Natty Dread and we worked it to the core. In fact, I know we were the first people to put Bob Marley on a T-shirt. But we did it as promotion, not merchandise. We put Natty Dread on his image just to promote.
Even though Bob Marley was making his name at the time,
yes,
sort of an established artist,
yes,
there was still a sort of sense that reggae music was, you know, it wasn't proper music. It wasn't music that people wanted.
No, there was this fight. You know, reggae music has always had to fight through the image of ganja and Rasta. You know? And so it was quite an achievement for us to get that kind of sale. And it immediately attracted a lot of major. Burning Spear came to us with Marcus Garvey. We did pretty well with that too. And then they started to come in. Eventually, I got to know personally practically all the artists in the reggae business. We didn't last very long, a couple of years, because we didn't have our own pressing plants. So we had to take our samples and have our manufacturing done by our competitors. I had to go to Byron Lee or go to Federal, and they handled us as it suited them. Why I say that is, if we had something hot running and Byron had his album to come out, we would get parked until it was convenient for them. And we could maintain the business. You know, one of the problems I have is that I've never really been a businessman. I've been in the music out of love for the music.
You were just doing it for the love?
For the love of the music.
And in fact, this love was what sort of led to your introduction to this idea of hosting this reggae festival. But initially, it wasn't even a reggae festival.
It wasn't even a reggae.
It wasn't even a reggae festival. So what was it? We're going to be talking about the roots of Reggae Sunsplash and some of the challenges with Ronald Burke right after the break. Please stick around. You're watching Profile.